Good afternoon, and while it is a mild, bright and sunny day, it is Tuesday the 27th of February, and I'm in the reading Nook with a nice hot cup of tea. And what I'm going to pull out of here is, let's have a look, that, or I think, let's have a look, yeah, here we go. It's the best of White Dwarf Articles, Volume 2. This would have been published, I don't know, 1982, 81, something like that. 1982. And this collects sort of like the best articles from White Dwarf magazine, roughly from about issue 10 or so up through to issue 40. So the thing is, what this does is not just give you all of the, it actually says it's 15 to 30 on the front there. Clearly I'm not reading it. But the thing is, in collecting this brings together sort of like what's regarded as the best content and enables people to access content from magazines that wouldn't have been as easy to have obtained back then, because they would have been published and printed, and then they would have sort of like disappeared away from being available. Now they're collectible, you can find them, it's a bit easier. But these are together, there's 3 volumes, and these are essentially really kind of define the early years of the of White Dwarf in a period in which most people tend to think when it was at its role-playing highlights. So let's have a look inside. So, great cover inside, and then I've got an advert there for the Judge Dredd board game, reprinted a couple of years ago by Osprey Games. Rebellion, very nicely done. You've got an advert there for at Games Workshop's country stores up and down the country, Birmingham, London, Manchester, Nottingham, Sheffield. This is back before the day when you could find them all over the place. So then adverts for things like Starfleet Battles from Task Force Games, Game Designers Workshop's Traveller role-playing game, and all of these would have been available, from Games Workshop. Games Workshop being the major distributor of role-playing games during this period. You've got adverts for actual products from Games Workshop, so the Dungeon floor plan sets and the Dragon Meat convention. Before we have a nice little advert for Citadel Miniatures and the editorial from Ian Livingstone. It just says, White Dwarf is establishing itself positively as the British voice of role-playing games. As more and more people are attracted to the hobby, it's inevitable they want to read useful and important articles concerning their preferred RPGs. We've always endeavoured to publish material that will help and guide players in their games. And quite often, amusement at the same time. Unlike news, the material is still relevant despite being written a long time ago. However, like all magazines, issues of White Dwarf go out of print. Consequently, for the benefit of many of our more recent readers, we present the best of White Dwarf Articles Volume 2. So that's the purpose, to give access to older content that is now out of print. So we've got a big list of articles there, and we move into the first, and this is article on Introduction to Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, part of this would be redundant for the reader. It's really there for the person who's picking the magazine up on the off chance. Basically, it's published over several issues. Got a lovely piece of artwork there from the late Russ Nicholson. There we go. Carrying on the spell using classes, fighters and thieves, and this 1982. So we're talking really about a guide to essentially basic Dungeons and Dragons, what would be coming as BECME at that point, and crossing over from the BX version from Moldvay hook into Betmay and also Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. So last bit, characterization and alignment, discussion of that. We've got a conversion guide from Roger Musson for clerics. You know, converting one from one faith to another. Backdrop of stars. Andy Slack gives a guide, a list of sort of like hooks and so on for the traveller, but easily converted to other science fiction settings. Of course, we have a guide to authentic historical troop types in underworlds and wildernesses. So this is Phil Masters giving you sort of like, here are what the various troops from various ancient cultures are suitable for your Dungeons and Dragons game. A couple of pages of that. Best of Starbase. Starbase was White Dwarf's regular traveller column. He's got the best of it, just one single page. Best of Treasure Chest, same thing again. Treasure Chest was like a miscellany of items for Dungeons and Dragons. So it would be new treasures, spells, curses, and the like that you would expect to see in Dungeons and Dragons. You know, there was always a demand for it. So here we've got a section on amulets and talismans by Lewis Pulsifer. Spellcaster's Guide to Arcane by Bill Milne. This sort of like, you know, here's an alternative system for categorizing and your spells and casting them, because one of the things, of course, is that, you know, everyone likes house variants, and once, you know, isn't happy with the rules, will change them. And a common one would have been, oh, I don't like the Vancian spells, I want to be able to cast spells more often, and typically with a point-based system. And then we have Star Patrol, and it's like another content for Traveller. This is looking at the Scout Service. And then, just so we'll see, this doesn't say who it's by. That's very annoying. Let's just have a look in the front. Sorry about this. This is Roger Musson, the Dungeon Architect. Again, this is just another one of those articles that you expect to see in role-playing magazines of the day. You know, this is a guide to creating interesting dungeons. So this section is, first of all, we've got the interesting dungeon, the constructed dungeon, and again, nice little bit of artwork there in the corner. And this is another, I think it's a 3-part series. The populated dungeon. So essentially, you know, how to make this is going through the 3 steps of how to make an interesting dungeon, how to construct it, and how to populate it. Best of Starbase library. This is sort of a guide to the fiction that you should read that will inspire you when playing Traveller. Again, another excerpt from Starbase. Best of Treasure Chest continues. Here we've got a list of spells, and the thing is with both the Best of Starbase and also with Treasure Chest, they accepted content from contributors, you know, to the magazine, and then a sort of generally a guide on how to play. Another article by Roger Musson, how to lose hit points and survive. And then another article about Dungeons and Dragons. So what makes a good AD&D character class? Lewis Pulsifer. You know, what makes a good class? You know, because everyone's not entirely happy with the classes available, so they want to go and try and play something new. The Self-Made Traveller. We've got an optional skill acquisition for travellers. This is for the Traveller system, because one of the things about Traveller is that it was always very hard to learn new skills once you entered play. So here's an alternative, and again, that's something that will be revisited again and again over the history of Traveller. Best of Fiend Factory. Fiend Factory being the regular monster column for White Dwarf. Many of the entries for which would actually go on to be included in the Fiend Folio, published by TSR via TSR UK. So yeah, you know, we've got things like Forest Giants, Winter Goblins, Mandrake People, Fungs. There we go. and these are really quite detailed creatures. Mud Skipper, we've got a multi-all-terrain vehicle for traveller. There we go, complete with deck plans. More treasure chest, which is the best of, this is magical items. By a variety of people. And then we have Detectives by Marcus R. Rowland. This is adding the detective class to your game if you want to be a bit more focused on investigation. So yeah, and then after that, you know, essentially White Dwarf's description, details for Dicing with Dungeons, which was Dicing with Dragons, which is the introduction to role playing written by Ian Livingstone during the period. We've got an advert for Chaosium's Thieves' World box set based upon the multi-author series of books. Advert for Call of Cthulhu. This will be like second edition, along with Shadows of Yog-Sothoth, the first campaign, and Games Workshop, of course, with its different board games and reprints of content. So yes, you've got the classic RuneQuest box set that of second edition that Games Workshop did, plus its own board games, Doctor Who, Apocalypse, based upon the Warlord and the aforementioned Judge Dredd. And on the back, you've got an advert for Star Frontiers, which would have been just come out that year from TSR. So, so that is the best of White Dwarf Articles, Volume 2. Actually, as I recall, a much better collection of articles and content than in Volume 1. A bit more interesting, a bit more discussive. And to be fair, actually still in some ways applicable now. If you look at like the dungeon construction rules and so on, the magic items could easily be adapted to a retro clone of your choice, or even 5th edition if you're playing that and you've got a copy of this. But yeah, again, this sort of like does that snapshot thing of looking at role playing in the very early 80s. Here in the United Kingdom, and you know, looking at the things that we wanted to see in our hobby and that White Dwarf would deliver on a regular basis. So, thanks for watching another unboxing in the Nook. I hope you've enjoyed this one. If you have, then please do click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, then please do click on the like button down below. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to get more unboxings in the Nook, where you will see me out here with package containing a book or game, or in this case a best of content article collection of White Dwarf, which I'll unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea. Then please do click on the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another unboxing in the Nook. I will be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.